Data is a collection of raw facts. Means before automation of the application, first we are taking data from client. Okay. So what you are collected data from? Suppose library. We are discussing library now. What you are collecting data from librarian? The data contains two parts. Data contains two parts. One is structured data. Second one is unstructured data. One is structured data. Second one is unstructured data. Second one. Structured data means if any data, we can easily manipulate. If any data, we can easily manipulate. That is called structured data. Means examples. Manipulations means you can do some updations. You can do some modifications. You can do some changes. Book ID, yes, we can change. Right or wrong? Student ID, yes, we can change. Book name, yes. These are the. What are unstructured data? If any data, we cannot manipulate. We cannot manipulate. Any examples? Student photo. Student photo. Can you manipulate directly? No. If you want to modify the photo, we need a separate software is required. In database, we cannot directly update. Okay. Google Maps, audio files, video files, etc. These are the unstructured data. Okay. Right. So data is a collection of raw facts. Next one is, what is information now? What is information? What is information? What is information? After processing data, we can achieve meaningful information, meaningful data is called as information. So after processing data means what I collected data from librarian, the data I can process. Means which data is required, which data is not required, which data is repeated, which type of columns repeated, I can process. After processing data, means I can remove unused data, valid data only I am taking from that raw facts. Then the final data I can place it in one table format. After processing the data, the main data I can place in table format. Suppose what I collect data from librarian, so I create a separate table format I place. One is student table. It contains student ID, student name, class. I create one more table. I say I place student address table, student ID, address 1, address 2, address 3, address 4. One more table, book master table, book ID, book name, author name. Okay, na? One more table, transaction table. So transaction ID, student ID, class, book ID, date of issue, date of return, remarks, fine, or something. Okay, now. So the data what I placed in table format. Just I draw a table. Inside the table, just I can mention the required columns. That is called as information, sir. If anybody can see this tables format, they can easily understand compared to your data. That is called as meaningful. That is called meaningful data, sir. When the information comes now, after processing data only, the information comes. Okay, right. Next one is, what is data store? Okay, I placed it on table design format. I placed. Now I want to store this information into my system. What I draw the tables in paper, on paper, what I draw the tables now, then I want to store into my system. Then where we can store the data, where we can create the tables, and where we can store the data. That is what is called data store. Where we can store the data? Data store means, what is the data store? So where we can store the data permanently, that is called data store. Where we can store the data permanently? Different examples we have. Books, we can store the data. We can store the data in pen drives. We can store the data in flat files. Flat files. We can store the data in normal databases. We can store the data in relational databases, etc. These are the different places we can store the data. Pen drives or hard disks also. Flat files, etc. guys. Okay. Right. Now, books we can store the data, but we have some drawbacks. If in books now, if you lost the data, if you lost any page, or if you lost entire book, you can lose the entire data. Right or wrong? Pen drives also same, like hard disks also same, like. So in this scenario, we can store the data in flat files. We can store the data. We can store that in normal database. What are the flat files? We can store the data in flat files means, just like examples, flat files are notepad files. We can store the data. We can store the data in Word documents. We can store the data in Excel sheets, etc. These are the different flat files we can store the data. A normal database, relation databases also. So these things we know, but these things are not useful in the industries actually. Okay, now. So we are storing the data in flat files. We can store the data. Notepad files, Word documents. Yes. But here in 1960s, in 1960s, the companies were using as a backend flat files. 1960s. Okay. As a backend, they're using notepad files, Word documents, Excel sheets. But at that time, they found some drawbacks from these flat files. They found some drawbacks. To overcome the drawbacks now, in industry, normal databases are developed. In the normal databases also, we have some drawbacks now. Then relation databases are developed. Okay. Right, guys. So, what are the drawbacks of flat files? Why the companies are developed normal databases? In normal database, what the drawbacks are there? Why relational databases are becomes popular nowadays? What are the main features of relational databases? These things right now we discuss one by one. This is called as history of database. Nowadays companies are using relation databases now. So before relation databases now, we have the normal databases we have, right or wrong? So what are the drawbacks of these before the databases and relation databases main features? These are we discuss, guys. Coming session we discuss. Tomorrow session we'll discuss these things. Okay, guys. So any doubts in today's session? So I think everybody know this. The total our sessions are yes, DB2, sir. Rangnath. DB2 also is one of the database. Okay. Here, some relation databases. We discussed later Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, DB2, Teradata, etc. These are the different types of relational databases. Okay, na? So one of the database now we are discussing Oracle. That is right. Yes, Pavani. Right now, guys, we are discussing right now database fundamentals after completing how to install the Oracle software, and I can provide the Oracle software setup file links also. Okay, once you download the software, then you can install the software. At the time of installing, if you are facing any problems now, our database admin can help you. No issue about that for installation. For a set of files installation, we'll take 1 or 2 sessions required actually. That's why I'm not discussing installation process actually. Okay, na? After installation is complete, then only we can start our practical session, guys. Okay. So our sessions are, I think everybody know this, 50 to 55 sessions and a daily 1 hour. And here I can explain each and every topic with definition, syntax, with example, and I will show the practical also. Here I can execute, and each and every day at the end of the session, so at the end of the session, I give some queries also. Okay, suppose today we completed update statement, and update statement I can give some queries for assignment. Okay, na? And every weekend we'll discuss entry questions. Every weekend. This weekend we completed one topic. Suppose sub-queries are completed. At the weekend now I can discuss about the entry questions. Once you follow the entry questions thoroughly, na, you can answer the entry questions. 80 to 90% you can answer, guys. Right. See, guys, column names are case sensitive in Oracle. By default, if you declare column names as small letters or capital letters, by default, Oracle taken as a capital. Column names, by default, Oracle taken as a capital. It is a case sensitive, Pavani. Okay, na? I will show that practically. Which are case sensitive, which are not case sensitive, I can explain. Okay, in practical sessions, I can explain. Okay. Okay, guys. So right now we are discussing fundamentals of databases, guys. Okay, the coming session we discuss what is that flat files, what are the drawbacks of flat files, normal databases, and what are relation databases main features. After that, we can start remaining things one by one. Okay, guys. So any doubts in today's session? Okay, guys. Okay. Thank you guys to attend the session today. Tomorrow we'll continue. Okay. Thank you very much to all. So yes, how many projects will be working during this course? After the course completion, we'll get that examples of self-practice. Pushpesh, here we are learning backend actually. Front-end means we have the different types of front-end means. So, see, project means we are learning backend, sir. Backend means the main functionality backend designing. We can design the tables. Okay, and we can write some small programs we can write. So completely backend, generally there is no projects actually. Project means front-end applications. We have different types of projects. As a backend, we are creating the tables and we can write some procedures and functions. Okay, so that's why what I discussed now. After completing the total entire course, I can explain one small application. In that application, it covers all topics. Okay, na? So how to call procedures functions inside the package, how to call the package inside the trigger. I can explain one small project. I can explain. Generally, in real time also directly there is no specific projects in databases actually. Okay, na? Right. You have to see. Oracle means database projects means procedures, functions, packages, triggers. The database project depends upon these 4 topics only. What are the topics now? Store procedures, functions, packages, triggers. That's why I can explain one project. Okay. Fine. See, Prashant, here, do you learn creating data repository in this course? Actually, in this course, we are discussing application-oriented topics only we are discussing. Okay, na? But this is helpful for creating database repository. It is helpful actually. Right. But here in this course, we learn how to create the database, how to create the users, how to give the permissions to users, and how to create the tables. These are we'll discuss. Okay. After Oracle installation in our systems, no, then we can discuss these things. Right. Any doubts, guys? Yes, Pushpesh, normalization and denormalization also we'll discuss. It is the chapter is available. Okay. Yes, we'll discuss normalization, denormalization also we'll discuss. So the next session, I show that course content. Okay. What are the topics we'll cover in this total entire sessions? Okay, I will show that course content also, guys. Tomorrow session I can explain. Okay. So thank you, team, to attend the session. Thank you very much. Okay.
The recording has stopped.